Okay, picture this. You wake up one morning completely disoriented, only to realize your actual soul has been transported into the body of a high schooler named Kim Yu-seong. Sounds like a pretty typical dream, right? But here's the catch. You quickly realize you're living inside the world of Scramble Love, which is this wildly popular, highly controversial romantic comedy manga. And honestly, the worst part? You aren't even the hero. You are literally just a nameless, faceless background extra. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to completely unpack one of the most hilarious and fascinating narrative ironies out there. We'll be analyzing this protagonist's truly desperate attempts to just stay a background character, and exactly how those actions inadvertently and completely derail the established manga plot. So let's dive right into this. Yu-seong is fully aware of the genre he's trapped in. He knows that in a manga universe, bizarre, totally unexplainable collateral damage happens constantly, right? Background characters are always getting caught in the crossfire of whatever dramatic antics the main characters are up to. And his intense fear of this unpredictable manga collateral damage drives him to a very logical yet incredibly extreme conclusion. He figures if he wants to survive a world where the plot can literally rewrite reality, he has to protect himself. So what does he do? He dedicates himself to lifting extreme weights. By his second year of high school, this dedication has completely transformed him. He just wanted a quiet life, but his fear turned him into this hulking, terrifying, muscle-bound presence.
He actually maps out this highly calculated, perfectly logical background character survival plan. Step 1. Enroll in a school far, far away from the original protagonist Sakamoto Ruji. Step 2. If he does somehow see the main characters, absolutely ignore them. Do not engage whatsoever. And step 3. Get physically strong enough to survive any random plot device the universe decides to throw his way. You know, he literally just wants to blend in with the scenery. But as we all know, no plan survives first contact with the enemy, or, well, in this case, first contact with the manga's plot armor. Because despite his best efforts, he somehow ends up transferring right into Ruji's class anyway.
There is this absolutely hilarious contrast between Kim Yu-seong's internal goal and his actual reality. His goal is super simple. He wants to stay completely quiet, be invisible, read his manga magazines in peace, and avoid the main characters like the plague. But then we have his reality. Because he spent a solid year aggressively bodybuilding, his intimidating physical presence naturally projects this terrifying aura. When he hides behind a wall just to observe the plot unfolding, the other students literally tremble. Rumors start spreading like wildfire that he's some dangerous underground brawler or a ruthless Yakuza boss. Everyone avoids him, which initially he actually thinks is a huge win for his stay away from people strategy. Now, to really grasp the scale of his physical transformation, think about the number 220. That is the amount of weight, in kilos, that he casually warms up with at his local gym. He lifts 220 kilos, which is nearly 485 pounds, by the way, without even breaking a sweat. And this incredible feat accidentally catches the eye of a fellow gym-goer, Fumeyuka, who just so happens to be his school's kendo captain. She is so utterly stunned by his raw strength that she instantly concludes he must possess the legendary Supreme Yang physique, which is this mythical constitution boasting the energy of 100 men. So just by doing his daily workout, he's already drawing the attention of powerful main characters. Section 1. Accidental main character energy. Okay, the crucial point here is that his massive, intimidating physical presence naturally begins to shatter the carefully laid out tropes of this manga world. I mean, the guy is completely exuding accidental main character energy. And the way this builds up is absolutely spectacular. Accompanied by the blonde transfer student Kishimoto Ria, Yu-seong decides he wants to join a sports club, really just to test out where his physical limits lie. Well, this turns into a rapid, hilarious path of destruction. At the basketball court, he effortlessly shatters the entire backboard with a simple dunk. In baseball, he completely splinters the bat into pieces. On the tennis court, the sheer impact of his swing tears the net right open and literally creates a crater in the floor. Ria's basically going down a list, checking off the clubs they've managed to demolish. But the soccer club tryout is where we get this specific, brilliant bit of data. The captain asks him to just kick the ball into the empty net with all his strength. So Yu-seong channels the equivalent of 300 kilos of force into a single, perfectly postured kick. And what happens? Does he score a majestic goal? Nope. The impact is so incredibly violent that the soccer ball literally crushes and explodes into a cloud of dust the exact millisecond his foot connects with it. The net remains totally empty, and the club captain is just left staring at this busted leather, probably wondering if he just witnessed dark sorcery. Naturally, this club tour climaxes at the Kendo Dojo, where he faces off against Captain Fumeyuka. She is a true martial artist.
She radiates this massive spiritual aura in the shape of a giant snake. She unleashes her clan's ultimate secret magical attack directly into Yu-seong's chest. There's this huge explosion of light. And when the dust finally settles, Yu-seong is just standing there, totally fine. The captain's wooden sword, however, has completely shattered into splinters. And how did it break? Well, as Yu-seong calmly realizes, he used only the pure strength of his pectoral muscles to destroy her ultimate weapon. He is literally breaking the magic systems of this world with sheer muscle.
Which brings us to Section 2, derailing the manga plot.
So obviously his physical strength is completely off the charts, but how does that translate to the story itself? It really starts with the hijacked heroines, because he's so physically present and honestly acts so logically, he inadvertently steals the main female cast right out from under the original protagonist, Ruji. You've got Kishimoto Ria, the bubbly transfer student who just wants to hang out with him now. There's Sanji Kumiko, the villainous student council president whose classic tropes he's constantly subverting. Tojo Karen, the tough Yakuza daughter. And Sasha, a Russian VIP character. Simply by being around them and actually treating them like real people rather than 2D anime archetypes, he completely hijacks their storylines.
Let's break down a textbook example of how he ruins a classic manga trope in the original script. Tojo Karen, the Yakuza daughter, is getting harassed by bullies in a park. Right? Classic setup. This is supposed to be the moment Ruji, the main character, valiantly steps in, struggles a little bit, but ultimately saves her, securing her affection. But what actually happens in the Yu-seong reality? Ruji tries to help and gets instantly knocked down by the bully leader. Yu-seong, who is just watching from the sidelines, realizes his friends are in actual real danger. He immediately drops his background character act, steps in, effortlessly blocks the bully's attacks without even flinching, and then knocks the leader completely unconscious with a single, devastating self-defense punch. Just like that, he steals the hero's moment.
You really have to love the irony here. His internal monologue is constantly screaming, "I shouldn't get involved, this isn't my plotline," yet his external actions say the exact opposite. Take his encounter with Sasha, the Russian VIP. She's being chased by these men in suits. Yu-seong tries to just walk away, but she offers him a ton of money to be her bodyguard. Next thing he knows, he's facing down her elite protector, Captain Boris. So while his brain is internally thinking about how he just wants to grab a quiet lunch, externally, his body is perfectly executing a judo throw on a massive, highly trained Russian operative, completely slamming him into the pavement. And that leads right into Section 3, the ripple effect.
The consequences of his actions aren't just physical, It's not just about breaking swords and exploding soccer balls. The true derailing of the plot happens on a deeply emotional level. He is creating this massive ripple effect throughout the entire universe of Scramble Love. It's basically the ultimate butterfly effect. The small localized change was literally just him deciding to work out and get strong so he wouldn't die as a collateral extra. But that physical change gave him immense confidence, presence, and this really grounded perspective. By treating these characters as real human beings with real feelings, rather than as 2D tropes to be navigated, he fundamentally breaks the romantic blueprint of the universe. The heroines stop acting out their predetermined roles, and they start reacting genuinely to his kindness. When you map out this new reality, the emotional shifts are just incredible. Ria was supposed to be the standard main heroine for Ruji. Instead, she totally bonds with Yu-seong over their shared obsession with manga, and she becomes his hilarious spy partner. Kumiko, the villainous president, is supposed to be this arrogant, untouchable character, but Yu-seong just genuinely compliments her style and shows her respect, leaving her totally flustered and humanized. But honestly, the most impactful one is Karen. After Ruji actually rejects her romantic confession, Karen is left devastated, crying at a bus stop. Yu-seong doesn't just walk by. He gives her his jacket, tells her it's okay to cry, and takes her to a karaoke spot so she can literally scream her heartbreak out into a microphone. He gives these characters real emotional depth, and in return, they all fall from. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? I think it boils down to a fantastic question. Can you truly stay a background character if your actions carry main character energy? Kim Yu-seong proves pretty definitively that you can't just hide behind a wall if your empathy, your logic, and